Hey, this is Sportsslaw with Lomas Brown, the pro.
And Deb Schneider, I'm the prof. And together, we're the pro and the prof.
How are you today, Lomas?
It never gets old, does it, Deb? That introduction.
Never. And just for everybody, that was such a, we were just playing around. We did all these serious introductions and we played around, and that's what we ended up doing.
I know. It turned out that well. We got to give our engineer, Ray, a lot of credit. You know, he was the mastermind behind saying, hey, why don't you guys leave that introduction? We kind of like that, you know, and of course the music, his musical choice too. Yes.
And his design on the logo and everything. So Ray deserves a lot of credit for all of this.
Yes, he does. Yes, we'll give credit where it's due. So yeah. So how has your week been? How have you been this last week or so?
It's been a busy week. Busy week with the 4th. Everybody's been off on vacation, hopefully enjoying themselves.
Yes.
Lots and lots of stuff happening. I think name, image, likeness is a big deal right now. A lot of people, we should talk at some point about contracts because everybody's entering contracts now. And one of the things that we have going on is we have a lot of golf outings.
Yes, we do. I think the one thing that has jumped out to me is this new Delta variant of the virus that we have. I'm hoping, Deb, that it doesn't shut us down or it doesn't affect any of our sports coming up, you know, in the months to come. I hope we could keep things as normal as we can and hopefully try to get through this other little variant that's going on with this virus.
Well, big deal on that is the Olympics are going without spectators.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
Start on Friday, no spectators.
Yes.
And that's got all kinds of implications for sponsorships. People thought they were, you know, these companies thought they were going to get everybody out there.
Yeah.
They're not there. Completely different type of Olympics than we've, I think, ever had before.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, yes, we know for China, it was probably going to be kind of a home field advantage. But now, you know, it's no home field advantage for anyone. Like you say, no spectators. But I do expect it to be competitive. I expect it to be a great Olympics because these athletes have been training for this moment. Now their moment is coming up. So I do still expect it to be a very good games, Olympic games, but it's just going to be different without the sound effects of the crowd being in the background. And like I say, no home field advantage for anybody this year.
I know. Really interesting. But let's get to our guests because we have a couple of guests sitting backstage right now. And I would love to introduce, talking about golf outings, we have the 7th annual Power to Move Classic, which is a fundraiser that is being put on by Barwis Performance Group.
Yes.
And so we have Mike Barwis with us, and we also have Nick Lucius.
The man.
Yeah.
Doing great, Mike. How you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. No bad days, Lomas.
Yes. First of all, Mike, I got to tease you a little bit. So, you know, me and Tom Wright go back a long ways, and Tom told me at one point he was working out with you, and he told me you had them pushing the sled, you had them doing some serious stuff. I was like, Tom, you might be a weekend warrior. You might want to tone it back a little bit. Just bring it back just a step or two, Tom. Not too much, but maybe a step or two.
Well, if you're coming with us, Lomas, you're going hard, no matter who you are.
Oh, geez. So, Mike, Barwis Performance Group, you run the gamut on all kinds of training, from nutrition all the way up. You work with New York Mets, Red Wings. You've worked with the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. Tell us a little bit about the group and what you do.
We train just
that
about
was a big question.
Talks. Yeah, we trained about everything that just that walks and talks, and some that don't, and we try to make sure that they do at some point. we've got a conglomerate of different corporations, about 37 in all. We do physical therapy, chiropractic, neurological reengineering, performance training. We run elite athletes. We run professional athletes. We do all the way down to youth and personal training. You name it, we do it. We're the only private organization in the world that runs professional sports teams, like the Detroit Red Wings, obviously. I'm the director of sports science for them and oversee, their entire program for the Red Wings. Great group of people, wonderful staff and organization. And we get the opportunity to do a lot. We have centers around the world, in the country of Japan, partnership overseas in the country of Georgia, 2 in Florida, 1 in the Met Stadium in Florida, in Port St. Lucie, 1 in Deerfield Beach, 1 out in Colorado with Big Nick there, and 1 in Plymouth, Michigan. We see just about everything you can imagine. We've worked with over 5,000 Olympic and professional athletes in over 45 different sports. So you name it, we do it. And then obviously the First Step Foundation, which is the golf outing. One of the 2 things when I left Michigan that I wanted to start was, a nonprofit organization to help people with disabilities because of the Brock Mueller situation and helping him. That's one of the reasons I left college athletics and professional athletics as just my only thing that I do, because we wanted to impact the lives of people who struggle with neurological disabilities. And now you're going to see Draymond Green and Austin Bryant from the Dolphins train right next to a little boy trying to walk, and it's a pretty amazing experience. We do that all over the world with a great staff. I'm the worst one I got. Guys like me make me better every day, and I get the opportunity after 29 years of this, 30 years of this, to be the best I can possibly be every day to help people, and that's a blessing. Yeah.
Nick, I know you've been with Mike for about a decade now. You guys seem to be kind of like a unicorn. And the reason why I'm saying that is normally you'll have places that just do physical therapy or they just do strength training. You don't see too many places, at least I haven't, that combine the both. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's been successful and how you guys make that work?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the first and foremost in our facilities, it comes with the culture, it comes with the environment. We bring great energy, people from all different walks of life, whether you're 5-time All-Pro or you're trying to take your first step again, or you're just a young kid trying to learn how to run. You name it, we train it. And like Mike said, and so we want to cultivate an environment, and that starts with the staff, starts with the environment, the building, that starts the energy you have every single day, every single minute. That's what we've done, and I think that's what makes us a little bit of a unicorn. I think you're dead on with it. We do our best to do best by the people. And I'm never remiss to say it, but every time we open a new facility, Mike's quote, is on the wall, and I think that's just what embodies who we are and what makes us that unicorn. Is if the people we work with today mean more to us than we mean to ourselves, we'll be good at our jobs. And that just is what. It sucked me in 10 years ago, and here we still are, right? So, ultimately our goal is to help as many people as possible. And I think we put the people first. That's why we've been successful. No doubt about it.
Dale, just a quick follow-up. And Nick, does that mean that you guys had to get more equipment? Does it mean like a typical, say if I went to a typical strength training place, did you guys have to get more equipment, any specialized equipment? Did you have to do anything differently in the building?
Yeah, credit to Mike started the foundation of being able to build the facilities the way we do. And yeah, there's a lot of specialized equipment that goes into what we do. Specialized training from the staff. It takes time to make sure our staff is going to be ready to do best by these individuals. That's our goal. And it's a big undertaking, not just logistically. Those equipment's a specialty, so it's going to come at an increased cost. But we do whatever we can to put the person first, put the client first.
Which then leads me to the question. You've been doing this, Mike. You've been doing this for, you said 20, 30 years. Nick, you've been doing this, just to say, you started as an intern, and so interns can make it because you've now got your doctorate in physical therapy. That is so cool. I think that's
Just
awesome.
be persistent, right?
Yeah.
Right. But over that
Come a
time,
long way.
how have you
Yeah.
seen things change? I mean, I'm thinking that 30 years ago, when you were training Lomas, it was a little different than if you're training Lomas today.
No, you're correct. You know, we've always been cutting edge for science. My background's in physiology. You know, we've always been a cutting edge department in science, whether it was in college or professional sports prior to being the Barwis Corporation. Back then, you know, I was part of the people researching and coming up with the knowledge and pieces to apply within athletics to allow for the medical side to conjoin with the athletic side. Because it used to be you had a guy who lifted weights, or he was an ex-player, or he was something, and he went in and he trained you. And that's, you know, you did kind of what he thought was right, and that was it. And the medical staff kind of was on their own side, and medical staff didn't really know anything about training, and the training staff didn't really know anything about medicine. And it was tough. You had a lot of independent structures. And when I first started in the field, that was something that I really wanted to change. You know, my knowledge in science and my knowledge of training, I wanted to take and allow the two to come together, to put science and training in one mold, and then integrate the medical aspects. And that's really what I do for professional teams, and, you know, help the medical, oversee the medical portions and the performance portions, and integrate them. All we did was took the highest or most cutting edge level of science and implemented it into a private practice. And like Lomas said, we really are the unicorn. We have everything.
Right.
You know, there you see, you know, Jarvis Landry working on his sprint technique, and in the background you'll see a little girl trying to crawl. You know, it's being able to take all of the different dynamics of science and integrate them into performance and into medicine. And it does require a completely different environment. It requires, you know, physical therapy, physical therapists with doctorate degrees, and have them integrated with high-level strength and conditioning coaches who are at the highest level in the world, and integrate them with chiropractic and massage therapy and recovery room techs, and $1 million in technology that helps your body recover faster, and data tracking teams that track the data and tell me exactly what I need to understand from guys around the world, from professional teams I run to the people in our centers. And hey, this is what they need to do today based on what their biometrics are telling me. This is how we need to adjust the programs based on nutritional aspects that they need. We have on-staff nutritionists. Just about everything that you have at professional teams, and often more, we have in our centers. And it affords us the opportunity to offer the best environment anywhere in the world for people to excel, both athletically and the physically disabled, and to help them become enabled. And that's really been our goal, is to be the most cutting edge group in the world, and offer the best to the best athletes in the world, and the best to the young girl who's trying to learn to pedal a bike, like you saw there.
Yeah. Mike, has analytics creeped into what you guys do? I mean, it's in the sports world everywhere now. Are you guys using some type of analytics too?
Yeah, we run data analytics on all of our performance regimens for all of the teams that I work with in professional sports, and we do it in our centers for our elite athletes and some of our neurological clients or physical therapy clients, down to timing sleep, looking at hydration levels, and tracking, acute on chronic workloads, and looking at biometric feedback that we get on a habitual basis. I can track all those different modules, maintain data and charts on people to understand what the optimal dynamics are, or the optimal environment is to provide them, to allow them to be as successful as possible and reduce the risk of injury during their seasons, and or magnify their performance level. All of those things are tracked by our data science team, and I can get reports in the morning right to my phone on how somebody is physically performing, what they need to do for recovery that day based on their biometric results, how we need to adjust their programming and put it into the optimal situation to periodize the programming for them to be, at their absolute highest level.
Nick, if I would have had this, I put in 18 years. I probably could have got me 4 more years out of it if I'd have had this, man. All this information, man, is just unbelievable how far training, how far everything has come. We never heard anything back, and Nick, I'm an 80s, man. I was back in the 80s, 90s, but we never talked about sleep. Mike, we never talked about sleep. We never talked about some of the things that you guys are talking about, tracking different things. That was never talked about back then.
Yeah,
it's changed.
Yeah, it's come a long way.
It certainly has. It sounds like it. So much of it is so scientific now. It's so analytical, so scientific. Are there any particular things that you do at Barwis that looking at that right now, that looks really cool with whatever you were doing. But is there anything in particular that you find is really, really effective that is unique to Barwis?
Honestly, we're probably, as Lomas was saying earlier, we're the most comprehensive system anywhere in the world. And we're cutting edge in all aspects, with our neurological program. We just saw the movie 7 Yards, had a young man walk, the Brock Mueller piece that won the Emmy, the Big Ten Network, Brock Mueller Big Ten Network piece. Those achievements to me are even bigger than the 27 rings I got. The rings I got, those are pretty cool. My kids kind of play games with them and do different stuff. I know you understand, Lomas. The memories are what matters. The people you touched along the way, the people you impact, the lives you changed, the people who struggled next to you in the sports on a sports team, your family struggling. Those things make the difference, right? That's what determines what a champion really is. It's those daily sacrifices and watching the daily sacrifice of people with disabilities and them grow and change and magnify their lives and become something that someone deemed impossible is it's a Super Bowl every day. You know what I mean? And for me, it's been an absolute blessing from God to be able to be a part of the lives of all the people, the athletes we've been able to help, the general population and the people with disabilities who are just struggling to fight to achieve a normal life.
Yeah. And Nick, I know it's been 10 years for you, and Mike, I know it's been 30 years for you, but Nick, in the 10 years, what are some of the biggest things that you've seen that have changed with the athletes? I know size, but what else have you seen that's changed in, say, like the 10 years since you've been with Mike with the athletes?
I think that athletes are way more empowered now to be accountable for their health, be accountable for their training. They know that they got to seek out the best minds in the world now in that regard. I mean, the bar keeps getting raised every year. We'll do our best to keep raising that bar every single year. And I think it's just more of an empowerment thing. They know they need to be taking care of themselves. What's up, Julia?
Hi. Hey. Hi, Julia.
Yeah, in terms of like a rehabilitation sense, I mean, they know that they need that it's not, there's no longer, if you're in the tub, you're not playing anymore. That type of culture is kind of over. They understand that they need to do best by themselves, because it's only, we're here to help them any way we can, and the more help they get, the better they can do, and the more successful they can be in their lives. So I think that's transcended not just from the pro ranks all the way down to the weekend warriors, average Joes and Janes. Like it's becoming a normal thing. I mean, you have a smartwatch that'll tell you everything you want and more about how your body's doing. So the game's changing, to say the least.
Hey, Julia, does your dad train you?
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh, tell us all about that.
A worker, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She's a gymnast. So Julia.
Oh, wow.
Julia is a competitive gymnast. My other daughter, Hannah, is a competitive gymnast. My son, Ray, is a baseball player. My son, Charlie, is a soccer player. And all of them box, right? And all of them kickbox.
Oh, wow.
Mike's underselling it. They're all built different. He's underselling it.
You like training?
So I heard that common theme in there with the boxing. Is there something that we need to know? What does boxing do anything? And that sounds like that was a common theme with all your kids. What's the deal with that, Mike?
I was a competitive fighter, Lomas. So
Okay.
I like my kids to be able to handle themselves and protect themselves, and also have respect for that. And understand how it should be utilized and when it should be utilized. And it's a great cardiovascular workout. It's a lot of core and rotational movement, and it's to me it's a great overall body workout for fluidity, allowing your body to stay limber and explosive. And the kids all really enjoy it. They like putting the gloves on. It's a great stress reliever. Somebody's holding pads and you're throwing them, and it usually gets rid of the stress, right, kid?
I like it.
Yeah, that's so exciting. So fun to see everybody. So when you go to the gym, if I go to the gym, are you going to train me the same way you're going to train Julia, or you're going to train Lomas? I'm assuming you're going to start. I mean, what's the difference between youth, not so weekend warrior, and professional athlete?
They're very different, and even
right.
even the way we do it now versus before has changed. Lomas and I were talking. I heard him talking earlier. He said, "What's different? Guys are more athletic now. I mean, big guys can run, big guys can move, big guys can change direction. They're much more liquid. They have much more range of motion, more functional capacity to change direction and flexibility. It's very different because, as you know, Lomas, when you and I were playing and competing and doing what we were doing, you didn't have that. You didn't have that training. You didn't have that performance side. And now they do. People say athletes are better. I think they just have better training and better opportunities. I don't know that the athletes are any better. Lomas, they don't get it much better than Lomas. So
that's true. When
you start looking at how you train someone, really, people always say you're training sports specific. The truth is you're training cellular specific, right? You're taking a given cell and you're giving it a given stimulus to elicit a desired result. And what you have to figure out is, what is that result the person's trying to elicit from their body, and what stimulus do I need to provide to their cells to allow for them to adapt and accommodate the results necessary to have them achieve their goals and dreams. And that may be somebody I just want to be healthy. I want to have a long, healthy life. I don't want to have problems with my back and my hips. I don't want to have pain. Okay, well, great. That's what we're going to do. It may be a person who's injured, and we have to, do an ARS screen that is our, proprietary screen, and evaluate their neurological function and determine the weaknesses and build a corrective program to establish a normal function again for them. It may be a high-level athlete who we've got to refine the most tiny little detail to make them achieve their goals and their dreams and become a Pro Bowler instead of just a player. It might be, an individual trying to regain the ability to take one step. And every one of those people has a completely different design program to elicit the desired result. And the goal is for us to make sure that we're always identifying the needs of the athlete or the individual or the average person who's coming in there, and designing the program or protocol to achieve their goals.
Yeah.
Somebody's sleepy.
Yeah, that was a good one there. So for both of you guys, we know the world changed a little over a year ago, or it's probably been over a year ago. So how is it different for you guys these days? What's different now?
COVID it was crazy, right? I mean, there's a lot more protocols. There's a lot more cleaning and safety needs than there were previously. Things that, the world probably should have done better in the first place, but we didn't expect what happened. There's a lot more things that I have to do with professional teams that are, the job with professional teams has quadrupled because you're trying to control environments and oftentimes creating segments that are excluding you from the general population and environments that are kind of like bubbles or closed, so that you can keep people safe and healthy as long as possible, so that you're not losing them during the seasons. But in general, you're just practicing better health. You're practicing better maintenance. You're practicing better safety. You're practicing a better environment to allow people to remain and excel in life.
Yeah, we're talking a lot of science here, from COVID to you're talking about the cellular level. And one of the things that I noticed that I'm really, really interested is the neurological re-engineering aspect. And I think, Nick, this was something that I saw that you were doing a lot of, where we've talked about the training, but what about getting somebody to walk again? Some of these stories that you have and some of these people that you're working with, what is neurological re-engineering?
That's a loaded one for sure.
I only ask loaded questions.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
She's a lawyer.
I know.
These are supposed to be softball questions, something that you can answer. And,
you're elite. You're elite in this world. We're all rookies. I don't know. It's a little different.
I'm just trying to educate. I mean, for our listeners, tell us what it is. It's fascinating. I mean, and you're doing such a great job.
Yeah, I'm joking, 100%. So our neurological engineering program is founded based on what Mike mentioned earlier with the Brock Mueller story in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was really he's the founder. He created it. It's always been refined and improved, but we have Mike to thank for that, and a lot of that goes down to the specificity of how we go about training. We don't necessarily take an answer of, oh, he's paralyzed, or oh, she's paralyzed, or oh, that doesn't work, and let that be the end of their story. I think that does the individual a huge disservice. So, our programming, we get them in, we do about a 2-hour evaluation, look at everything from head to toe, what works and what does not seem to be working right now, and figure out a plan of what we can do to make it better. Every program is very specific. So no client walks in the door in our neurological program and has the same rundown, same program, same planning. There might be similarities because there's similarities in loss of function, but everything is to a T. And so that's something that Mike's preached from the day one, and he's done a good job in hammering it through my thick skull. And so we've done a good job maintaining that through this whole time. And that's ultimately what we want to do. So it's a full training program, whether it be proprietary techniques that Mike was able to come up with in his time, and what we've been able to cultivate and develop since then. Manual techniques on an individual to improve neuromuscular function, our training approaches, the intensity that we bring. It's really a different animal, and it's hard to explain unless you're in the facility and kind of see it for yourself. But we've worked with people with spinal cord injuries, multiple sclerosis, traumatic brain injuries, cerebral palsy, chronic pain disorders, demyelinating conditions, you name it. You open the book, we probably trained it at some point, now. And so that's a big part of neurological engineering is. And the strongest part, in my opinion, is these clients are working, side by side with top pros, average general population, and everyone in between. Someone with an ankle sprain could be working next to someone who's trying to take their first step again after a stroke, or anything like you see on the screen right there. It's a very dynamic program. It demands a lot, not just physically, but also mentally. It's tough it's very challenging, but you put the work in, and you can have some great results. So, yeah.
Okay, Mike, I'm ready. I'm about to throw a curveball at you. I'm ready.
Oh boy.
Here we go. Nah, I don't know. It might not be, but Mike, okay. We all know, and I'm strictly talking about football, the game of football in the NFL. We all know that the NFL was yelling safety, safety, safety. That's the thing that they wanted to yell about, the safety of the players. Well, they added another game this season. So the guys have 17 regular season games instead of 16 regular season games. But they also have less hitting time, meaning less time to get their body in condition or to take the hits or to be able to dish out the hits. What should a guy like me who commentates, who does the radio for the Lions, what should I expect this season? Am I going to see a lot more soft tissue injuries? Possibly. What should I expect out of this season, especially since, like I say, they added another game onto the season? But it seems like these guys have less time physically to prepare for the season.
You know what? It's a great question, Lomas. And one of the things we track in sports science is an acute on chronic workload. And what that means is, on a basis, over time becomes the capacity that your body can endure. So if you take a 28-day window, okay, and I do something every day that's consistent, a load on my body is consistent for 28 days, my body has the ability to start to adapt to that load, okay? The more I skew away from that normative number, the greater the risk I have of being injured. So if you look at a person, a lot of times you'll track 28 days and then you'll take the last 7 days and you'll take a comparative load variation. You know, if the load of the day was arbitrary number was 4 and you did it for 28 days, right, then you'd be looking at what 112 is your total points. Divide that by 28, you end up with 4, right? So the common load is 4 for the day. That's what your body would endure. Obviously, there's a lot of metrics to go into that. What is it? Is it GPS? Is it change of direction? Is it heart rate, levels? Those all things go into to determining what a load is, okay? Then if my next 7-day window on a habitual basis deviates from that normative value by over 20% or 30%, the higher the percentage of deviation, the greater the chance of risk, because I've not allowed the body to adjust to those new additives over a time of duration. Instead, I've dropped them on the body and asked them to adjust immediately. The human body doesn't work like that, right? I mean, that's why we train. That's why we practice. We allow the body to accommodate the load slowly and progressively, allowing our system to maintain loads that are placed on it habitually over time, as long as they're consistent and don't deviate in great number. When we add games, we add load. You know, when we take away training time, we decrease our ability or time to get to a normative load value. So it really comes down to now what players are doing in the off season. Are they working hard? Are they getting ready? Are they prepping themselves? And are they ready for the load of the season if they're going to have a shorter window of prep? And if they are ready for the load of the season, have they also prepared themselves during the season with a solid recovery program, with a solid injury prevention program, with corrective exercises to allow them to bounce back from the habitual blows that they take and be able to accommodate an additional load that's placed on them at the end of the season? So the preseason is going to be more determined with the soft tissue injuries on what people do to prepare on their own, because they have less time to get there. And the end of the season is going to be more determined on what the teams do in season to make sure guys can endure that term as they move forward. Because as those loads adjust in the off season, they need to be prepared to handle the daily load of the start of the season. In the in season, they need to make sure that their cycles are written and their recovery systems are dynamic enough to accommodate what is going to change with the extra game that's added at the end of the season. So it really comes down to a lot of training and a lot of sports science and a lot of work for the players. So I think the NFL is putting a little bit more onus on the player and a little less on itself with that progression. And that's part of the system. So we work within the system we're given, as you're well aware of in all pro sports. And it's a job. These guys understand their jobs. They're hard workers. Most of them, I'm sure, will be prepared for what they have to handle. And hopefully the teams and the sports scientists are able to manipulate the variables in season to accommodate for the extra game. And the players have done what they need to do to accommodate for the short start.
So if I'm a player and I'm playing with you, are you changing my workouts? Are you changing how you're training me because of something like this to increase recovery, to decrease the risk of injury? What kind of program are you changing for a professional athlete facing an extra in-season game?
Yeah, you're looking at modifying all of that. You're looking at modifying the recovery program. For me, I do it all with data tech so I can know what's actually happening within the body. Some teams, they do it more traditionally. To me, I want to know what's really happening in your body. I want to see, are they recovered? I track the whole team so that the coaches understand, hey, we should edit and back down a little bit on practices right now. These guys are fatigued and burnt out. Let's modify so they can bounce back. It'll help us come out stronger for the next game, and you're going to be able to play the next 3 or 4 more consistent. We look at travel. There's a big deal to that. Lomas will tell you himself, it's not easy to get home at 3 o'clock in the morning, bounce back in, be inside. That'll wear on you. And even this year in the NHL season or the NBA season, I mean, guys are playing game, no off day.
Yeah.
It's tough, right? So you have to modify. You can't train as hard as you normally do. You have to require better recovery programs. You maybe start practice a little bit later so the guys can sleep in. You're accommodating and adjusting and backing off loads both in the gym and on the field, but you don't want to back off too much that they get detrained and can't play the extra games. So it's a fine balance of tracking every individual player and then tracking the holistic team and understanding, hey, if this player needs something because their body is adjusting differently than someone else's, then we make that modification. If we start to see that modification within the whole team and everybody's values start to drop, then we need to make a bigger adjustment, like change of practice or cut back on the loads that we're providing them within the gym, or have a recovery day, or maybe just an off day.
I love the science here.
I know. I know.
30 years later, I love it.
I just love it. I love the fact that everything is so individualized, and and for everybody, I'm learning a lot about how you would train a professional athlete, and I'm excited. I'm going down to Plymouth. I'm joining.
So come on down, let's roll.
So
okay, I'll be there.
I know, Deb, I know I was going to ask them, my golf game sucks. It's terrible. So I know I can't come to you guys and ask you guys on how to improve my golf game. That's why I just go out there, I politic, kiss babies, shake hands. I do the normal thing. But I know you guys have a great golf tournament coming up and stuff. So what can you do for a hacker like me? Is there anything you could do for me? Is there anything at that gym that you could do for a fella like me?
Hey, look, we can train the best golfers in the world, Lomas, and you're a ridiculous athlete, so I'm sure we can help you. That's not a problem. Not a problem. We train a lot of pro golfers, and with your size and your athleticism, I'm sure we can help you hit that ball pretty hard.
All right. I like it. Hard and straight, Mike?
Yeah,
is it going to be hard and straight?
I don't know about your short game. I can't help you putt. That's not going to be my thing. And the chip shot, you're going to have to take some lessons on that one. But the rest of the stuff, we can help you.
That's funny there. Yeah. But talk to us a little bit about the golf outing that you guys have coming up, and what it benefits, and some of the people that you have out there on a yearly basis, some of the people that you have out there this year.
Go ahead, Nick, you shoot.
Sure. Yeah. So our upcoming golf outing is the Power to Move Classic. This is our 7th annual golf outing. So what we do is, you can see in the video right there, we bring some of all of our clients. Brocco, maybe he'll pipe down the fairway. Lomas, let's see if we can outdrive him. He's got some good power up top, so you got some competition. But we bring the whole Barwis family and the extended family together to celebrate these individuals and help raise some money for them to help make the training into reality. Unfortunately, due to the world of insurance, which we all deal with in some capacity one way or another, coverage for these types of services is really minute at best. And so what we do is we do our best to raise money throughout the year to help provide scholarships for our individuals with these disabilities, to help them be a part of our neurological reengineering program. It was one of the first things, like Mike said, when he decided to go more private sector with everything. And it's something that's it's a pillar of who we are. And this is a huge celebration for us as a company and us as people, as professionals, and to help these individuals out. So it's going to be in July 22nd, early morning tea time. I don't know, 8 a.m. We got to get up early for that. U of M golf course will be where we're going to have it. And we're still looking for any additional sponsorships. We're putting together something. We know it's short notice, but we'd love to be able to have people come in and support, or if they want to come in and play some golf too. However they can support our clients, that's ultimately how we love to support them too. So that's kind of how we run it every year in the golf outing. I think it's one of my favorite times of the year for sure. Even if I'm not able to make it, just being able to see how happy everyone is and what we were able to achieve as a unit, it's a powerful thing.
This is all for benefiting the First Step Foundation.
Yes.
Which is part of the board. Tell us a little bit about that. I know you've raised a lot of money for scholarships, for training scholarships. I know you've raised a lot of money for specialized equipment. Tell us about the First Step Foundation. What's the purpose? What are we doing? Because I think everybody wants to hear, what good works you do.
Yeah, sure. So the First Step Foundation is our nonprofit organization that we put together for this specific reason, like I mentioned, for the scholarships and the equipment, and really just provide resources and opportunities to these individuals who otherwise, like I said, the external ways of paying, they miss the bar, if you will. So being able to provide and band together to provide funding and opportunities for people to come across the country and come across the world. To be honest, we've had clients from Israel, Ireland, South Africa. I'm missing other people. I'm sorry, England, you name it. People come from all over the world, and despite being able to make it here, funding and assistance is still something that's so important. And so this type of training takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and finances are a part of it. So our biggest mission is to be able to give these individuals with disabilities every resource possible to be successful. And every year we keep adding more resources, whether it be equipment or more training or other ways that they can find, great benefit in any other walk of life. You get their life back on track. So, I really recommend checking out our website, firststepfoundation.com. You'll also be able to see some links through the barwis.com website as well. You'll see it all over our Instagram. It'll be a staple for the next week or two, for sure, at least for the golf outing. And anyone has any questions, so feel free to reach out. I'm happy to spread the word and try to help out as many people as we can.
Yeah. Any fundraising goals, Mike, Nick, any fundraising goals that you guys have set for yourself for this year, or do you guys set fundraising goals?
Yeah, Jade Wright actually is the director of our nonprofits, and she usually does. She usually sets some strong goals. We'd like to raise $100,000 if we can, and the real goal there is, as Nick was saying, the cool part is you're going to go to an event, you're going to play next to the best athletes in the world. We got NHL players, NFL players, you name it. Everybody shows up and plays with all the athletes we train and work with end up going and playing with the general population. And they see these kids work every day. They see these kids struggle every day. They see them fight every day. And it's important to them. They become part of their family, and they all want to go out and serve as well. So they come and golf with people to try and help raise the money. And it's a really cool event. But the money really goes to helping these people. That's what we use it for. I mean, it's the foundation is, as Nick was saying, insurance doesn't really go on forever. And oftentimes it doesn't cover the training that they need to regain to a normative lifestyle. And we realized that and wanted to figure out a way to help people who our insurance programs weren't helping still get the treatment they needed to change their lives. And the goal of this event and the other events we have throughout the year and the entire First Step Foundation is to scholarship many of these people and give them the opportunity to get services. And, my goal, if I could do anything, Lomas, I'd like to raise a couple $1 million and build a place for them to stay, have a place for people to stay when they came, like a, Ronald McDonald House, and have people come and not have to worry about the finances and not have to worry about the cost of training or the cost of living and just focus on getting better. That really is something that anybody who goes through this, for sure deserves. The challenge is making it achievable. And I think the First Step Foundation has been our way of trying to make it achievable and continue to grow and afford the opportunities and the necessary equipment, but spend the money on scholarshiping people and helping people regain their lifestyles. For me, the day Brock walked across Michigan Field and touched the banner, being told he'd never walk again and going to rehab for multiple years and not achieving it, we took that as a challenge. We wanted to change his life. And watching him do that I remember when he touched the banner at the 50-yard line, I put my arm around him. We started to walk him off the field. And I thought to myself, look, I can't just keep doing what I'm doing in my life. I've achieved a lot of things, God willing and God's blessing. But there's a lot of things that I'm not doing that I need to do to make sure that people like this have these opportunities. And that's really what made me change. And for me, every day I walk in there and I see people from around the world, from England, Ireland, Africa, China, Israel, and people from the United States and all different states around the United States come in there and they're fighting. They're fighting for their lives. They want to achieve a normative life again. And then I get to go in there and see the best athletes in the world come alongside them. I mean, there's no better environment than that.
Okay, I'm done. That was perfect. I am so impressed.
That really was.
And we're running out of time. I was going to say final thoughts, but I think those are fabulous.
Yeah, that was. But any final thoughts that you guys might have?
No, it's been a blessing to be on here with both of you. You know, Lomas and Deb, you guys are fantastic people, and it's an honor to be a part of your show. And you know, I just hope that every day we get up and get the opportunity to impact lives in a positive way. And if we do that, all of us, you know, the world's going to be a better place. That's really the goal.
Amen.
Right. And I think we want to give a shout out to firststepfoundation.com, Barwis Performance Group. Check it out. Definitely donate. Come to the golf outing. This is really, really important. I'm sure you can meet Mike, Nick, and Lomas.
Yeah, absolutely. And great job with Brock, man. I've gotten a chance to meet him and become friends with Brock throughout the years. Of course, through Tom Wright, he was the first one that introduced us, and you know, a great guy, man. Just his spirit, man, is just so great. So I'm not even shocked he did what he was able to do, which was to walk and touch that banner. So great job, Mike. Great job, Nick. Man, you guys, like Deb said, you guys just keep up the great work.
Absolutely.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate you.
Yep. Well, thank you very much for being with us. And for all of our listeners, check out First Step Foundation, Barwis Foundation. Check sportslaw.com. Check us out on Facebook, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
Thanks, guys. God bless.